Life is made up of experiences. Experiences shape our perspectives and allow us to pass along knowledge. In this podcast, I sit down with listeners like you and find out that no matter who you are, everyone has a story to tell. I'm Ethan Smith, and this is Life Experienced. Just a few weeks ago, 19 million people tuned in to see the Virginia Cavaliers win their first ever NCAA Division I basketball championship. No one can deny the popularity of basketball here in the United States, but basketball has also risen to prominence in other areas of the world, especially in Europe. No one knows this better than Đuro Bjegović.
First sport I ever played was when I was 7 years old. And it was soccer, of course, like everybody in Europe, it's a normal thing. And then the first winter came and it was snowy and you have to practice in snow and it was cold, like you don't feel your legs. And I was like, no, this is not it. And then about 3-4 months ago, after I quit soccer, I basically started playing basketball and I fell in love. I mean, first couple of practices, and after that, it was just journey of basketball for now. I played basketball since I was 7, so 21 years. 21 years of playing basketball and going all around the world with basketball. So was it
easy? Was it easy for you to get started with basketball in the community that you grew up in?
Actually, no. I mean, that was the time when the war finished. 2 years after, we came back to my hometown because it was still not ready. My house wasn't really in a good shape to come back, so we were still exiles. And then we came back, and then the gym over there wasn't built, so we had to travel to another city for practice. And it was not easy, but I loved playing basketball, and basically I would go anywhere to play it. So, I mean, as a kid, I think it was a love at first sight, even though a lot of people don't believe in it.
The war Đuro spoke of is the Croatian War of Independence. In 1991, Croatia declared its independence from Yugoslavia, which led to military confrontations across the country. In 1992, Croatia was recognized as a sovereign country, but not without devastation across many areas, resulting in thousands of casualties and the displacement of over 700,000 people. Đuro and his family were directly affected.
Well, the first memory that I record from it all, I mean, I've been 2-3 years old back then.
Okay, yeah.
The first thing I experienced was the ones when it was near us. There was bombs and stuff, and we had to go to shelters and helicopters flying around and stuff like that. I remember those sirens and going to the shelter under. And then the next memory that I remember is my parents leaving the house with all the stuff we could carry, because I guess I don't know, maybe invasion was coming. I haven't really talked to my father about it too much, and we had to run from our city to go to another city where it's safer. The most memorable memory that I have from it is like when we were running away. I had a hard time carrying my basically, when I was a kid, I packed all the toys in my bag. I didn't pack clothes, man. I packed toys. Yeah. And I remember he was heavy, because I wanted to pack all my toys inside. And we were going through the woods to get to the bus to go to another city. I remember that, and I got tired and I couldn't carry anymore. And my mom was carrying so much stuff as well. And I remember she just took the backpack off my back and just flinched it into the river. And, I hated her for months for that. But I was a kid, I didn't know. But all my toys went down the river. I remember that. And then I remember getting on the bus and going to that place. And then another happenings when we were at that place in Split, Croatia. When we were in the hotel, actually stationed. A lot of people were stationed in hotels as exiles, and there was happenings there too, where the warship drove into the bay also, and there was again sirens going into the shelters under the hotel, and it was was a tough period. It was a tough period for sure for us, but we made it through it. Thankfully, all of my family members went through it alive, and I have no real regrets. Like family losses, like some people did. A lot of people
Right.
actually did.
So, what do you remember about when you actually moved back to your hometown, and what the process was like, kind of coming back?
What I remember is coming into the house, and my dad did his best to make it livable, but it was still a wreck. It was. I mean, from some of my posts on Steemit what I wrote about, how now I'm actually repairing the house, and
Uh huh.
it's been 20 years after that. My parents couldn't afford much. After the war, they were more thinking of, feeding three kids, three boys. So that was the most important for them, not the living accommodations. I remember walking in the house, and the whole front of the house, the hallway was a mess. Basically, what my dad did, he just basically fixed the living room where we basically all slept for a while. I remember the bullet holes, which I wrote about in my post on the house. I remembered our roof was still wrecked because I think it was hit by a grenade or something like that. And I remember the upstairs floor was total mess, like it was all messed up. And that's pretty much what I remember from it. I know it was also one part of the house was on fire, so that's pretty much all I remember from it now. And now I'm actually, when I'm playing basketball, I'm setting aside some money to get it back into the normal shape. Like not
Right.
normal, but to the glory days, I call
Sure.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Despite the destruction left by the war, Juro rediscovered his love for basketball and began playing wherever he could. This led to some big opportunities for him.
Well, from 8 years old, I've been playing in my small hometown, Drniš, which is about maybe 10,000 people at that time. Now it's even less because there's no jobs and there's nothing. So people are scattered around all the other countries looking for jobs. Anywhere in Europe, to provide for their families. And I've been playing basketball from 8 to about 13 years old, um, in my hometown. And then after that, I've been noticed by bigger clubs, and actually the club in Split, Croatia, where I transferred after I played for the national team under 14, under 16, and I played in Split after that for about 5 years. Then I was offered a professional contract to play professionally, which I refused because at that time I actually had some injuries, and my parents talked to me, maybe you should start thinking about other things that you can do after basketball. You should secure yourself, get education.
Sure.
And one of my friends that I actually know from work, he was a coach. I actually played against his team. He noticed me. He also worked in US already, and he gave me an opportunity, to go to first year to high school and earn a scholarship and play in college. So it was kind of a good deal for me because I wanted to finish college, so I have something to fall back on after basketball. Some kind of education, and it was a perfect for me. So it was it was not a it was not an easy decision, especially for my parents because I was still young. I was 18 years old, and but I think in the end it was a very good decision.
Juro got his start playing basketball in the United States at a basketball prep school in Decatur, Illinois, where he played among some of the most promising recruits in the world.
Well, to tell you the truth, the first year I came to US, we played some preseason tournaments, and we had a stacked team, so we were ranked. We were ranked on nationally about, I think, first in the beginning and top 20, and then we came to number 3 spot, and we were supposed to play Oak Hill. I don't know if you know, it's
I
basically
am
a
familiar with
powerhouse.
Oak Hill.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we were
yes.
supposed to play them for the first spot, because we haven't lost the game in a lot, but what happened to me is like I played in those preseason tournaments and I played great. And I actually got scholarships offered, right away after two preseason tournaments. But at one tournament I played great. I don't know, we played one of the best schools, also high school. It's called Cornerstone. At that time, it was one of the best high schools as well in
Okay.
US, and we beat them by 20 points. and I played really good. And after that, I
Yeah.
had offers. I don't know, DePaul, Northwestern, Michigan State. It was, everybody was watching me because I was a big but skilled guy. You watch some of
Uh-huh.
my highlights probably.
But unfortunately, Juro would have to wait for his chance at a Division I scholarship. That story and more right after this. Over the past few months, my wife and I have been able to save some time and money and develop a whole new set of cooking skills. How did we do it? We started subscribing to EveryPlate. EveryPlate is a meal kit delivery service that's different from others you may have heard of because it only costs $5 per serving, which is about half as much as those other meal kits cost. Each meal features a recipe that's made from fresh ingredients and only takes about 30 minutes to make. The box of ingredients and recipe cards are delivered to your door each week, so all that's left for you to do is enjoy making the meals. If you'd also like to sharpen your cooking skills and enjoy recipes you want to make over and over, you can get $20 off your first box from EveryPlate by visiting lifeexperienced.org/everyplate. That's lifeexperienced.org/everyplate for $20 off your first delivery. Welcome back. After beginning play in the United States, Juro's first preseason got off to a strong start. But if you've paid attention to any sport over the years, there is always one thing that can bring dreams to a screeching halt. And that was no different for Juro.
The second game I played, I dove down on the floor, and when I was getting up, the guy stepped on my thumb. And I literally shattered my thumb in like 20 places. Like it was a mess. My finger was all distorted. I remember going to the hospital, the doctor taking an x-ray, and he's just looking at the picture and he says to me, "How in the hell did you do this?" Because my entire joint, like upper joint, was crushed, like the crumbs on the after you eat the bread, the crusty one.
Yes, yeah.
It was just crushed.
Wow.
I was out for about 5 months, and I'll tell you the story. I was the luckiest guy ever. I'm not even kidding. I'll tell you why. The best surgeon for hands, specifically for hands, lives in Decatur, Illinois, in the city. Now, can you imagine what kind of a chance that is? And
Yeah.
the doctor, when he heard my story that I'm from, different country, from Europe and everything else, he actually donated the surgery to me, and he did the
Oh,
surgery
wow.
on my thumb. Yeah, because I don't. If any other normal doctors would see this, there's no. I don't know how they would put it back in place because it was shattered. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, when you step on a glass, it was the same thing. So basically, after that, it's been a long process to recover my finger because after that, all my right arm was atrophic. I lost a lot of muscle in my arm. Even now, I
Oh,
still haven't
yes.
regained
Okay.
the muscle. So it's been a long process. And then I lost all these scholarships because I was out for
Right.
4 or 5 months out. Everybody was scared how I'm going to come back. Then I had to go to junior college because I didn't have any offers, Division Ones. Plus, my grades from Croatia, I'm ashamed of it now, were not the greatest, so I had to
Yeah.
fix it in Yugo. Even though they say I'm an intelligent guy, my grades weren't showing though.
Juro enrolled at several junior colleges following his injury in order to get some more playing time and improve his prospects. It was during this time that he recalls receiving the support and encouragement that would keep him going.
The coach from the other team, junior college, he really didn't say a lot of things about me. And one of the coaches that was assistant coach at this junior college, he talked to him, and so he didn't have the greatest opinion of me in the beginning. And I remember uh, one time we were doing the conditioning practice, and we were doing it on an uphill with the grass. It's slippery.
Yes.
And I remember this. I started running sprint, and I slipped. And this is what he said. He said, "Oh yeah, this is what the other coach also said. That you're not good, that you fall down or whatever." That it motivated me so much, man. He was such a kick in the butt, because I'm a fighter, I
Yeah.
gone through life through a lot, so it motivated me a lot, and I tell you one thing. By the end of that junior college year, I was all conference, uh, top five in conference, and we went to NGCA national tournament. And this coach is one of my best friends now, and he actually called the coach in other junior college, and he told him, "I don't know what you were talking about. You were dead wrong, man." It was one of the best feelings ever, when you know who you are, but you still have to show it.
Right.
People don't believe it until you show it. And even now, I still remember this coach, and he actually helped me a lot. He was a great person. Plus, the head coach, Pete Norman, awesome person. Like, I mean, Highland Community College helped me get a Division I scholarship. I mean, I met some, amazing people who I'm still talking to. They're still my friends. It's amazing. Two ladies that took care of us, that are like a sponsors of the community college. They help around with food, with everything. Amazing ladies, Miss Becky and Mrs. Coombs. Amazing ladies. I mean, they're about 85 years old, but when I was
Yeah.
there, they were still older, but they were still moving, so energetic, so positive.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot explain to you how much it's incredible, incredible
Yeah.
ladies. They're even now, helping, and they're now in their 80s. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy. It just, I'm skipping through a lot of parts, but it's been an amazing journey. I met some amazing people in
Yeah.
the community, and I'm forever thankful for for Highland Community College.
Despite a few roadblocks along the way, Juro made the most of his time at junior college, which would ultimately net him several Division I scholarship offers. We'll pick up there in next week's episode, where Juro will describe his college experience and his decision to continue to play basketball back in Europe. Life Experienced is hosted and produced by Ethan D. Smith and is primarily distributed via Anchor.fm. The show is also available via D-Sound, a decentralized audio sharing platform built on the Steam blockchain. For more information, visit dsound.audio. The music in this podcast is composed by Lee Rosevere and is used under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. For more information, visit freemusicarchive.org. If you like the show, be sure to share it with others. Links to learn more about this episode, as well as more information on the podcast itself, may be found by visiting lifeexperienced.org. And for those of you still listening, Juro recalled an experience from his childhood in post-war Croatia that he will never forget.
So, back, people think, okay, war's over, that's it, but people don't think about, what's left behind the war. It's a lot of destruction. There's still minefields. There needs to be cleaned up and stuff like that. So basically, what happened is, one day, me and my dad, I loved to fish when I was a kid, and we had these bamboo sticks that my dad made handmade, and we would go on the river, and I just loved fishing, because in this type of fishing, there's no weight. It's just a hook, and you just swing the bamboo stick at that time, and you just lay down with the worm, and then the worm slow, and the line just sits on top of the of the surface of the water, and then it slowly dies as the bait goes down. And when the fish catches it, it just goes through the water like a boat. Zzz.
Right.
And basically, okay, just gonna skip through that. Sorry. And basically, what happened? We went to the fishing trip, and we walked to our spot, and we fished for about, I don't know, 2 hours. We went home, all good, until tomorrow. So my dad comes back home, and I'm serious, Ethan. He looked like he saw a ghost, like pale face, pale face. He sits down. He calls me. He sits me to the chair in front of him. He tells me, "Juro, you will not believe what we walked through. Basically, what happened is he was driving by the river that we went fishing right next to
Uh-huh.
the road, and the entire field where we walked through was sealed with tapes and marked as a minefield.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, we walked through the
You
minefield.
you literally walked through a
We
minefield to go fishing.
literally walked through the minefield, man. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Like I remember he
Wow.
was so pale, man. Like I was like, Dad,
Yeah.
you okay? You're having a heart attack. What's going on? You know? He said, Son, we literally walked through the minefield. He was like, he was almost crying because he almost, basically got
Yeah.
us killed. But how
Yeah.
could he know? You know?
Right. Right. There was no
What
way to
what
know.
saved us is that we walked next to the riverbank. We didn't walk. I mean, when we were leaving, we walked through the field. But when
Uh-huh.
we were coming, we walked like along the side of the river. So maybe that's.
Yeah.
I always say to my dad, somebody was watching after us because they
Sure.
got about 10 or 15 mines from that field, man.
Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And once again, I'm Ethan Smith, reminding you to get out there and experience life.